In this video, we're going to be breaking down this custom rack that Mark put together for his lawnmower. And he built this entirely with 1-inch electrical conduit, and the pieces of conduit are connected together with maker pipe fittings, which are steel connectors that we manufacture here in upstate South Carolina. And in these build breakdowns, we just like to highlight the things that customers have built and put together, and just highlight different techniques within them in case you are making the same thing or something that you can utilize similar techniques. And this is a really great build and makes a lot of sense. If you've done any mulching in the yard, then you know how much of a pain it can be to move bags of mulch and get it from, like you can see here, he's got a pallet. So, trying to get everything from that pallet to the garden beds, or not the garden beds, but just the flower beds in general, that can be a pain. So this rack really helps a lot with that, and it's really cool. And essentially, he said he bolted this to the lawnmower using some modified clamps here, some beam brackets, he said. So you can see it looks like he's got some U-bolts that go around the kind of the back rail of the lawnmower, and then those U-bolt around the conduit. And then there's also a ledge down here that the bottom part of the rack is just sitting on, and then that's how it's attached to the lawnmower. And then as far as the frame construction goes, it's really nothing too complicated. Essentially, he used 4 of the maker pipe 90-degree connectors here in the corners, as you can see there, and essentially just made this rectangular backstop that kind of goes against the lawnmower and is what is attached to the lawnmower where those brackets are, and basically just essentially made this rectangle. And he used 90-degree connectors. Not entirely sure why, because you could use T connectors there as an elbow. Maybe he had a reason. I know he used them down here for a cool reason that we'll look at here in a second. But you could use T connectors if you're making a 2-dimensional rectangle like this. People have used the 90 in this way, but usually you just put like a stub piece of conduit if you're going to do that. We don't really recommend that because it squishes the conduit a lot in the middle, and then it's also cheaper if you just use the T connector. But like I said, he might have a specific reason that he did that. But we can see that's the main part of the frame. That's the main rectangle. And then he did use the T connector to grab on in the middle of the rectangle to send this bar across from one side to the other, as we can see here. And what's cool about that is all 3 of these horizontal bars are going to be the same length. So once you figure that out, then you just have to cut the, whatever you want that dimension to be, you just have to cut that 3 times. And you just use the handheld pipe and tube cutter, and that makes cutting really easy when you're working with the MT conduit. And then essentially, that's the main part of the frame. And then the actual part of the rack that the mulch and the little bucket thing that he has here sits on, that is just branching off using more of the T connectors. So grabbing onto the bottom horizontal bar there with 2 T connectors, and then make another rectangle here, just like this. And essentially, he's using 90-degree connectors in this one because he did use a short stub of conduit in the middle here of the 90-degree connector. And then he's got one of the threaded pipe inserts that we talk about a lot on the channel. You can find those on our website. I'll link them down below. Those just go in the end of a piece of conduit, and then he's got a U-bolt sticking out of that here that he can then add the chain to, and this chain is going up to the top of the frame and just wraps around, and that's what's supporting this bottom part of the rack, which is really cool and a really smart thing to do. And this allows him to fold up the rack, which is really cool. But essentially, he's got that on both sides, just a short stub of conduit with the eye hook going up that the chain can latch onto and go up. And then he's just using a few more of the T connectors here. Looks like 4 more in total to just add a couple of more bars going across. And that's pretty much the whole construction of the frame. Not too complicated, and some simple techniques in there to make that able to kind of flat pack. So you can imagine here, I'm not sure if he folds it up, but probably so. You could, the maker pipe connectors, you just need a 5mm hex wrench to put them together. And if you leave the T connector loose a little bit, then you can hinge it. You just have to play around to make sure it fits and holds both pieces while still allowing you to rotate it. You can also use the leverage of a larger build like this. Once you grab like somewhere over here and grab to fold that up, you probably have enough leverage to be able to force it to spin, even if it's not loosened. So that's really cool that he's able to fold this up and put it away, because you still want to be able to mow the lawn and stuff and not have to worry about this rack all the time. Really only whenever you're doing odd jobs like this. You could even put a tarp on there, maybe load some leaves up, which would be cool. And just a really great idea from Mark. And we'll go through here and look at the other pictures. We can see it in place here on the back of the lawnmower. As we can see, he's got a tray on there that the mulch sits on, which we can see in this photo here. As you can see, just loaded up on there, and you could drive that over to the flower bed that you need the mulch in. And a really great idea, and just a really cool use of materials and techniques. So thanks so much for sharing this. If you want to see this post, it'll be linked down below. And thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.